Grandpa, pretend you're sick and leave right now. That was the text my granddaughter sent me in the middle of lunch. I thought she hit the wrong contact. I thought maybe it was some silly joke. 15 minutes later, I knew it was not a joke at all. It was the message that saved my home, my savings, and whatever dignity I still had left. And it was the start of the plan that turned my son's little scheme into the biggest humiliation of his life. But before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. My name is Frank. I am 72 years old, a retired electrician, widower, and, until that afternoon, a very naive father. My son's name is Jason. His wife is Megan. My granddaughter is Lily. She is 12, sharp as a razor, and the only reason this story doesn't end with me sitting in some cheap nursing home wondering where my house went. That day started like something good for once. Jason hadn't invited me over for a meal in almost a year. Our last real conversation had ended with him raising his voice and saying I was too stubborn about money and living in the past. After that, it was short calls on holidays, quick check-ins, nothing more. So when he called on Wednesday and said, "Dad, come over Sunday for lunch. We want to talk as a family, make peace," I actually felt hopeful. I ironed my best shirt that morning. Light blue, the one Margaret used to say made my eyes look younger. I polished my old shoes, grabbed a small box of chocolates for Lily, and drove across town to their big new house in the suburbs. The house I had given them the down payment for. Jason opened the door with that big smile of his. "Dad, you made it. Come in." I stepped into the cool, perfect hallway. Everything in that house looked like it came out of a magazine. Shiny floors, white walls with huge framed photos from their last vacation, stainless steel appliances in the kitchen. Things my son never could have afforded without my help. I noticed that right away, but I pushed the thought aside. "Grandpa!" Lily ran from the living room and hugged me around the waist. She still smelled like the strawberry shampoo she'd loved since she was 6. "Hey, sweetheart," I said, kissing the top of her head. "How's my favorite artist?" She smiled, but there was a strange tension in her face. Her eyes stayed on mine a little longer than usual, like she wanted to say something but couldn't. "Food's almost ready," Megan called from the kitchen. Her voice was tight but polite. "We'll eat in a minute." We sat at the dining table. It was covered with plates of chicken, mashed potatoes, salad. Megan poured iced tea into my glass and sat down across from me. Jason cleared his throat. "Dad, we're really glad you came. We've been talking, and we think some things need to change. For your own good." That phrase should have warned me right away. For your own good. But like a fool, I smiled. "Well, I'm listening," I said. "What's on your mind?" Jason exchanged a quick look with Megan. "Living alone at your age, it's risky," he started. "With your heart, your memory. We just want to make sure you're safe." "My heart is fine," I said. "Doctor says I'm doing better than half the guys my age, and my memory is good enough to remember your birthday without a phone reminder." He laughed, but it came out stiff. "Sure, Dad, but there have been incidents." Megan stepped in. "You left the stove on last month," she said, frowning. "You told us on the phone, remember?" "I smelled it and turned it off," I answered. "Nothing burned." She shrugged, as if that didn't matter. Jason leaned forward. "Look, Dad, there's a wonderful assisted living place near here. Greenview Gardens. They have all kinds of activities, medical staff, everything. We talked to them already." I felt my stomach tighten. "You talked to them already?" I repeated. "We just wanted to explore options," Megan said quickly. "We care about you." Lily's hand, under the table, gripped my sleeve, hard. I looked at her. Her face was pale. Her lips pressed together. Jason kept talking. They said they could even help with the process of getting guardianship if needed. You know, taking care of bills, the house, all that complicated stuff. The words hit me like a bucket of cold water. Guardianship, house, bills. This wasn't about safety. It was about control. But before I could answer, my phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out, more to avoid snapping at my own son than anything else. A message from Lily. "Grandpa, pretend you're sick and leave right now. Please, don't ask, just go." For a few seconds, I just stared at the screen, the letters blurring. I lifted my eyes. Lily sat across from me, hands in her lap, staring down at her plate. Her shoulders were trembling. Something inside me froze, then shifted. "All right?" Jason asked. "Work texting you again? You know, sometimes I wonder if you even know how to put that thing on silent." I slipped the phone back into my pocket. "No," I said slowly. "It's nothing. Just, I'm not feeling well." Megan frowned. "What do you mean?" My chest tightened for real this time, but not from illness. "I feel a little dizzy," I said. "Maybe the heat. I think I should go home." "Lie down." Jason looked annoyed first, then surprised. "Now? We're in the middle of lunch." "I'm 72, son," I said. "Sometimes I have to do things when my body tells me. And right now, it's telling me I need to rest." Lily's eyes flickered up to mine. For a moment, I saw pure relief there. "I can drive you," she whispered, but Megan shot her a look. "No, Lily, Grandpa will be fine. Jason, at least call him a taxi." "It's fine," I said, already pushing back my chair. "It's not far. I can drive. I haven't even touched the iced tea." Jason sighed. "Dad, we need to finish this talk. There's paperwork, and Greenview is holding a room. They said the doctor could drop by today." There it was. The doctor. The paperwork. I kept my voice steady. "We can talk another day," I said. "I don't sign anything when I'm not feeling my best. You wouldn't want that, would you?" Without waiting for an answer, I went to the hallway, grabbed my jacket, and walked out. Nobody followed me. Jason muttered something behind my back. Megan said, "We'll reschedule," in a cold tone. Lily stood in the doorway, hands shaking at her sides. As I reached my car, she mouthed one word. "Sorry." I shook my head and smiled at her. Then I got in and drove around the block until my hands stopped trembling. I pulled into a small park 2 streets over. Big oak trees, empty benches. I parked under the shade and leaned back in the seat, trying to steady my breathing. 15 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. A new message from Lily. "Grandpa, I'm in my room. I locked the door. I have to show you something. Turn on voice messages. Don't answer Dad if he calls right away." Then a voice recording popped up. My thumb hovered over it. I pressed play. At first, all I heard was footsteps, a door closing, muffled voices. Then Jason's voice came through, clear and angry. "Fantastic. He left. Now what are we supposed to tell Dr. Bailey? We set this up, Megan. Guardianship, evaluation, everything." "He'll come back," Megan said sharply. "He always does. He's too soft to stay mad. And we still have the letter from his doctor about his episodes." "I told you that letter wasn't meant for this," Jason replied. "It was just about his blood pressure." "Who cares?" she snapped. "Greenview said any medical concern helps. Once we have guardianship, we can sell that old house, pay off the credit cards, and finally breathe. You're the one who promised them we'd move him in next month." My heart pounded so hard I thought my ribs would crack. They wanted me in a home. They wanted my house. They had already talked to a doctor, to the facility, maybe even to a lawyer. The recording went on. "Did you at least get him to bring his papers?" Megan asked. "No, old man is cautious about something for once," Jason grumbled. "He keeps everything in that home office like it's a vault. Deed, savings, all of it. We need him cooperative or we'll have to drag this through court, and that takes forever." "Then push harder," Megan hissed. "We can't keep living like this. The credit card companies keep calling. Greenview said once guardianship is granted, the house can be sold within weeks. Think about it, Jason. No more worrying about your dad falling or leaving the stove on, and we get a bigger place." They both laughed a little. It sounded worse than shouting. There was a pause, then Megan's voice turned cold. "And Lily needs to understand this is happening. I don't want her running to Grandpa about every little thing, making him nervous. She thinks he's some kind of hero. He's not. He's a walking problem." Lily's breath hitched near the microphone. I could hear it. Jason sighed. "She's a kid. She'll get over it when she sees the new house." The recording ended. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. For a long minute I just sat there, staring at the windshield, watching a couple walk their dog on the path ahead. Ordinary life going on, while mine was being sliced apart behind my back. Second message. A picture from Lily. A folder lying on the kitchen counter. I zoomed in. Petition for temporary guardianship. Frank Miller. My name. In bold letters. Another recording. This time Lily's voice, whispering. "Grandpa, I heard them talking last night. They thought I was asleep. They said they're going to put you somewhere nice and that we're going to move into your house by Christmas. Mom told Dad that once you sign the papers you won't be able to change your mind or your will. She said that. I didn't know what to do, but when you came for lunch, they were waiting with the doctor. I saw the papers. I got scared. Please don't be mad. I told you to leave because they were going to make you sign stuff. They said they'd tell the judge that you forget things and leave the stove on all the time. I know that's not true. Please call me later when they're not around." Her voice cracked on the last words. That was the moment my grief turned into something else. I had lost my wife 3 years earlier. I had sat through nights of crying alone in bed, mornings of making coffee for one. I had forgiven my son for being distant, for being selfish, for forgetting to visit on the anniversary of his mother's death. But listening to him and his wife plot to lock me away and sell my house while my granddaughter hid and cried, that was the moment I stopped being a lonely old man and started being a very calm, very angry one. And what I did in the next 2 weeks turned their little plan into their worst nightmare. That's your second warning, if you're still listening. I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand and took a deep breath. First step, I called Lily. She picked up on the first ring, whispering, "Grandpa?" "I'm okay, sweetheart," I said. "You did the right thing. Listen carefully. I'm going to ask you one question. Are you safe right now?" "Yes," she said. "I'm in my room. They think I'm doing homework." "Good. Don't argue with them. Don't mention my leaving. Tell them I felt sick, just like I said. And don't tell them you texted me. Understand?" "Yes." "After school tomorrow," I continued, "can you tell your parents you're going to the library to study? There's a library on Oak Street near my house. I'll meet you there. We'll sit in the children's section like two people reading books. No drama. Can you do that?" "Yes," she repeated, sounding steadier. "Grandpa, are they going to take your house?" I looked at my own hands on the steering wheel, the same hands that had rewired houses, fixed engines, carried her when she was tiny. "Not if I can help it," I said. "Now hang up. I'll talk to you tomorrow." I ended the call and sat there until my heartbeat slowed. Next step, I drove straight to my lawyer's office. I hadn't needed him much in recent years, but I trusted him. His name was Andrew Harris. I had met him when he was still a young man helping me with a small business issue. His receptionist raised her eyebrows when she saw me walk in without an appointment. "Mr. Miller, is everything all right?" "No," I said. "And that's why I need 5 minutes with Andrew today." Maybe it was my face. Maybe it was the way my voice came out. Either way, she didn't argue. 10 minutes later, I was sitting in a quiet office with framed degrees on the wall, telling Andrew about the lunch, the recording, the guardianship folder. He listened without interrupting, pen still in his hand. When I finished, he let out a slow breath. "All right," he said. "First of all, I'm sorry you're going through this. Second, I'm glad you have that recording. Third, we're going to make sure they can't touch your house or your money without your permission. That clear enough? That's exactly what I want, I said. We spent less than an hour on the details, and I won't bore you with all the legal words. I promised you I wouldn't. In simple terms, here's what we did. We moved my house and savings into a living trust. The trust could only be changed by me while I was mentally competent. If something happened to me, the main beneficiary would be Lily, not Jason, not Megan. We updated my will. Jason would receive a symbolic $1 and a letter explaining why. We set up a medical power of attorney with Andrew's partner as backup, not any family member. We added one more thing. A written note attached to the documents stating that I did not consent to Jason or Megan gaining guardianship, and that I had serious concerns about their financial motives. When we finished, Andrew gathered the papers neatly. You understand, he said. They can still try to file for guardianship if they want to. But this makes it much harder. And if they lie, this recording will not look good for them. That's fine, I said. I just don't want them touching my house. He nodded. Do you want to move out? He asked after a moment. Sometimes it's safer. I thought about Lily, about the way Jason and Megan talked, about the fact that they already saw my house as theirs. Yes, I said. I think it's time. Can you recommend a good senior apartment complex on my side of town? One with locks they don't have keys to? 2 days later, I signed a lease for a small one-bedroom unit in a quiet senior community. Clean halls, friendly staff, a little garden out back. Nothing fancy, but peaceful. I hired a moving company, scheduled them for Saturday morning, and paid extra for discretion. They arrived at 7 a.m., loaded my furniture in boxes while the sun was still rising, and by noon, my old house was empty except for a few things I chose to leave behind on purpose. On the way out, I put my key on the kitchen counter and looked around. Every wall in that house had a memory. Margaret's laughter in the kitchen, Lily running through the hallway, Jason as a boy helping me paint his room. It hurt, I won't lie, but it hurt less than imagining them walking through the same house, talking about how much they'd get for it. On Monday, we signed the final documents transferring the house officially into the trust's name. Jason and Megan were not told. They were busy, I heard later, arguing with each other and calling Greenview about delays. That afternoon, I sat with Lily in the library as planned. She arrived with her backpack and a worried face, but when she saw me, she ran to my table and hugged me so tightly I felt my ribs. "Are you okay?" she whispered. "I'm fine," I said. "Better than fine. Come, sit." We took a table in the corner. She pulled out her homework. I opened a newspaper so from the outside we looked like any other grandfather and granddaughter. I kept my voice low. "I moved, Lily." Her eyes widened. "Moved? Already?" "Yes. I'm living in a place where they can't reach my keys or my mail. My old house is under protection now. That means even if they try something, they can't simply sell it." She swallowed. "Are you mad at them?" "Yes," I said honestly. "But I'm more disappointed than anything. Still, I'm not going to yell or throw things. That's what they want. They want me to look unstable. Instead, I'm going to stay calm and let their own actions speak for them." She twisted a pencil between her fingers. "Mom says you're stubborn, that you don't know what's good for you." "I know," I said. "But you've heard what they really said when they thought nobody was listening. You know the truth." She nodded slowly. "I saved the recordings, Grandpa," she said, "on my phone and on my computer, in case they take one." Smart girl. "I want you to do one more thing for me," I said. "Keep acting normal at home. Don't talk about the house. Don't tell them I moved yet. When they ask, tell them I've been busy or resting. I'll handle the rest." "Okay," she agreed. "But what are you going to do?" I looked at her, this thin little girl with worried eyes who had more courage than 2 adults put together. "I'm going to invite them to lunch," I said. "My treat. One last family meal. And then I'm going to tell them exactly what their plan cost them. The second half of the story started 1 week later. Jason called me on Friday evening, his voice smooth. "Dad, about last weekend, you left in kind of a rush." "Yes," I said. "I wasn't feeling well." "Well, Megan and I talked," he continued. "We didn't mean to upset you. We just care. We think this guardianship thing could actually make life easier for you." "For me?" I repeated, keeping my voice flat. "Yeah," he said. "No more bills, no more stress. We'd handle everything. But, maybe we started too fast. How about we meet tomorrow for lunch? Neutral place. Talk it out. There's that diner you like on Maple Street." "Good idea," I said. "Let's do that. Bring Megan. Bring Lily." "Sure," he said, surprised at how easy that was. "No hard feelings, right?" "Of course not, son," I answered. 12 o'clock? "Yeah. See you then." I hung up and sat quietly for a moment. This was it. I arrived at the diner early. I chose a booth near the back where I could see the door. The waitress, a kind woman named Patty who had known me for years, poured me a cup of coffee and patted my shoulder. "Big day?" she asked. "You could say that," I replied. At 12 on the dot, Jason walked in with Megan and Lily. Jason looked relaxed, wearing a polo shirt and a watch I suspected was bought on a credit card. Megan's smile was stiff. Lily's eyes searched mine immediately. They slid into the booth, Jason and Megan on one side, Lily next to me. "Good to see you, Dad," Jason said, reaching for a menu. "Let's order first. No need to argue on an empty stomach, right?" Not this time, I thought. We ordered. Burgers, fries, iced tea. Small talk for a few minutes. Weather, school, a new movie Lily had watched. Then Jason cleared his throat. "Okay," he said. "So, about the guardianship in Greenview. I know it sounds scary, Dad, but you have to admit you've been having a harder time lately. The house is big. You're alone. If something happens—" He spread his hands, as if he was a caring son making a simple point. "Jason," I said, "before we talk about anything, I want you to answer me one thing. When you spoke to Greenview, did you tell them I agreed to move in?" He blinked. "Well, we said you were on the fence, that you were confused." "Confused," I repeated. Megan jumped in. "We weren't lying," she said quickly. "You forget things. You left the stove." "I left it on once," I cut in. "And then I turned it off. I'm 72, Megan, not a baby." She pressed her lips together. "Dad, nobody is saying you're a baby," Jason said, sounding tired. "But we have to be realistic. You can't manage forever. And when the time comes, the court will look at the medical letter, Greenview's report, and your petition for temporary guardianship," I added. That shut him up. His eyes narrowed. "How do you know about that?" Lily stared at her plate. I held his gaze. "I know because I saw a picture of the folder with my name on it. I also heard you and Megan talk about how nice it would be to sell my house and use the money to pay off your debts." Color rose in Megan's cheeks. "That's not what we said," she whispered. "You're twisting—" I took my phone out, placed it on the table, and tapped the screen. Their own voices filled the small space of the booth. Jason talking about the doctor. Megan talking about selling my house. Striking while I still trust them. Patty, passing by with a tray, slowed for a second, looked at us, then moved on, eyes wide. Jason's face turned gray. "Turn that off," he hissed. "You can't record people like that. That's illegal." "I didn't record it," I said calmly. "Lily did. And no, I didn't ask her to. She did it because she was scared for me." Lily's breath shook beside me, but she didn't look away. "You used your own daughter to spy on us?" Megan snapped. "No," I said quietly. "You used your daughter as a background witness while you plotted to push her grandfather into a facility and empty his house. She just refused to keep pretending she didn't hear it." The table went quiet except for the faint clink of dishes around us and the distant sound of the diner's radio. Jason swallowed. Dad, we were just talking. People talk. It doesn't mean we'd actually do anything. You're overreacting. I slid an envelope across the table. Well then, I said, the good news is that from now on, you won't have to worry about making any decisions about my life, because you won't have the power. Open it. He hesitated, then tore it open. Inside were copies of the main pages of the trust, the updated will, and the note Andrew had attached. I watched his eyes move over the lines. His lips moved silently. What is this? He demanded. This, I said, is proof that my house and my savings are in a trust with Lily as the main beneficiary. It also states that you and Megan are not to be given guardianship under any normal circumstances, and that any attempt from you to do so would go against my stated wishes. He flipped to the will, his hands shaking. $1? He choked. You left me $1? Yes, I said. And an explanation letter. You can read it at home. It reminds you how many years I supported you, how many times I helped with your rent, your car, your college, your first down payment, and how planning to throw me into a home so you could cash in on the house was the final straw. Megan grabbed the papers, scanning them with panicked eyes. You can't do this, she whispered. You can't just cut your own son out. I can, I said, and I did. While I am of sound mind and body, which Andrew documented very carefully. Jason's voice rose. So you're going to leave everything to a 12-year-old? How is that responsible? Lily flinched, but I put my hand over hers. The trust will take care of her in stages, I said. College, a place to live, some funds for her adult life. It includes a clause stating that if anyone pressures her or tries to use her for money, funds can be withheld. You're not mentioned as a trustee anywhere. You're punishing us for one conversation, Megan said, her voice shaking. No, I answered. I am protecting myself from two adults who looked at my life's work and saw nothing but a way out of their credit card trouble. Jason slammed his fist lightly on the table, rattling the salt shaker. This isn't fair, he said. We're family. Families stick together. I looked at him for a long moment. Families do stick together, I said. A real family would have come to me honestly. Dad, we're in debt. We're scared. Can we talk about a plan? I would have listened. I might have helped again. Instead, you decided to lie, twist my words, and have me declared unfit so you could take everything I built. His jaw tightened. His eyes were wet, but whether from anger or shame, I don't know. Dad, be reasonable, he said more quietly. We made mistakes. People say things they don't mean when they're stressed. You can't just cut us out of your life over this. Think about Lily. She needs both sides of her family. Lily's hand squeezed mine. She also needs to know that adults face consequences, I said. I am not sending you to prison. I am not blasting this recording all over the internet. I am simply drawing a line. From today on, my money is my business. My home is my business. If you ever try to file something behind my back again, Andrew will have this recording ready. And I will not meet you in diners anymore. I will let the judge listen instead. Megan's face twisted. So what? She snapped. You're just going to live in that old house alone until you fall down and nobody notices? I moved, I said. That caught them both off guard. What? Jason asked. I moved to a senior apartment complex last week, I said. Safe building, staff on site, neighbors my age. I'm fine. I walk every morning. I make my own breakfast. I do not need your guardianship. I especially do not need your real estate plans. Jason stared at me, stunned. You moved without telling us? Yes, I replied. Because you planned my future without telling me. I thought we could call it even. The food arrived then, almost comically. Burgers, fries, plates clinking on the table. Patty set them down carefully, her eyes flicking between our faces. Anything else I can get you? She asked in a gentle tone. No, thank you, I said. She walked away, but I could feel her watching from the counter. Jason pushed his plate aside. "This isn't over," he muttered. "For me it is," I said. "You're my son. That won't change. But what you get from me from now on will not be money, or houses, or easy solutions. If you want something, you earn it. Just like I did. If you ever decide to talk to me with respect, my door is open. If you just want to argue about inheritance, don't call." His mouth twisted. "And what about Lily?" he said. "You going to turn her against us too?" I looked at my granddaughter. "Lily can make up her own mind," I said. "She already did once. She told the truth when it counted. That's more than I can say for the two of you." Lily finally spoke, her voice small but clear. "Dad," she whispered, "you and Mom scared me. You didn't talk to Grandpa. You talked about him. Like he wasn't real. Like he was just money. I don't like feeling afraid in my own house." Jason stared at her like he didn't recognize her. "Lily, you don't understand." "No," she said. "I understand enough." There it was, simple, clean. We finished lunch in a heavy silence. Jason and Megan barely touched their food. Lily ate slowly, tears slipping down her cheeks now and then. When the check came, I paid it. One last quiet gesture. Outside the diner, the sun was bright. Cars rolled by, people walked on the sidewalk, life went on. Jason turned to me. "Are you really going to leave things like this?" he asked. "Just cut us out and walk away?" "I'm not the one who walked away first," I said. "You did that the day you decided my worth was equal to the price of my house." He opened his mouth, then closed it again. "Come on," Megan said sharply, tugging his arm. "We're leaving." They walked off toward their car, their backs stiff. Lily stayed with me. "Can I still visit you?" she asked, voice shaking. "Whenever you want," I said. "As long as you feel safe and your parents allow it. I'm not going to ask you to sneak around. I will, however, keep this spot at my new kitchen table for you. Always." She hugged me again. That hug said more than any speech. In the weeks that followed, things settled into a new shape. Jason tried calling a few times, always with the same tone, half apology, half demand. He hinted that maybe we overreacted and maybe we can renegotiate the will. I didn't yell. I didn't insult. I just repeated the same sentence every time. "The trust is set. My decision stands. If you want to talk about life, I'm here. If you want to talk about money, call a bank, not me." He didn't like that answer. The calls got less frequent. Megan did try one more trick. She called me crying one morning, saying they were about to lose the house, and what would Lily think if Grandpa didn't help? "Lily already knows what I think," I said. "I think her parents are adults. Adults pay for their own choices. I am not your safety net anymore." And I hung up. Lily started coming by the senior complex once a week. We played cards, watched old movies, or just sat in the garden while she told me about school. She asked once, "Grandpa, will Mom and Dad ever change?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Sometimes people only change when life forces them to. Sometimes not even then. But I do know this. You did the right thing. You told the truth. You protected me when you were the only one who could." She smiled a little. "You protected yourself, too," she said. "You finally did." Maybe she was right. Now I sit here at my small kitchen table in my quiet apartment telling you this story. I'm not rich, but I'm safe. I'm not surrounded by luxury, but I sleep at night without wondering whose hands are on my bank account. My son is angry. My daughter-in-law is furious. My granddaughter is brave. And my house? It no longer stands as a prize waiting to be grabbed. It's a shield now, locked in a trust with my name and Lily's future written into it. Did I hurt Jason? Yes. But I didn't start this war. I just refused to be the casualty. So now I'll ask you, do you think I did the right thing? Would you have forgiven them? Or would you have gone even further? Write in the comments how you would have handled a son and daughter-in-law who tried to take everything from you, and don't forget to share your own stories.
My grandpa's worst really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales stories like this, hit subscribe.